Well, it's time for another edition of Casual Conversations with Courtney. I have an awesome guest today, Boo Williams. I know everyone calls you Boo, so I have to call you Boo. Yeah. It doesn't make sense not to call you Boo.
And it's October, so it's Halloween month.
Perfect. There you go. So we have a tie in there. If you don't know who Boo Williams is, you need to get on a computer and look this man up. He has an amazing career. Went with the Saints, played for the Saints as a tight end, but you played as a wide receiver at Arkansas, so that was kind of cool. But tell us a little bit about your career with the Saints. I mean, I know you had a couple of years in the NFL. What was it like for you playing on that stage?
Well, I played 6 years with New Orleans Saints, and it was unbelievable, especially going to a city like New Orleans, straight out of college, out of Arkansas. So you can tell where, you know, the difference between being in a small town and then going to a city like New Orleans. But it was, I can say it was the most unbelievable experience I've ever had. Those fans, everyone is like family. And it didn't help to, you know, every ball that I called a touchdown, everyone yelled boo. So, you know, that made it more fun.
And you're from Tallahassee, correct? Yes. So you're kind of close to home, you know, here, living now in Panama City Beach. Did you ever want to go to FSU? Was that ever in your mind? I don't know, I have to ask.
Yes, I was basically supposed to go to Florida State out of high school, but I went to a junior college first called Coffeyville Community College, CCC. And I was supposed to come back to Florida State, but I got kind of stolen away from Florida State by University of Arkansas. The coaches, they were really like father figures. The team was like family, and it was only 2.5 hours up the road from Coffeyville, so they see me quite a bit. So that's the reason why I didn't go to Florida State. Sorry.
That's okay. I have to ask. Start with the light stuff now. We'll kind of go into your life a little bit. I mean, you got out of the NFL and went through a dark period of your life. Talk a little bit about that, especially because depression is so big and so huge now, especially in 2019. We're talking about it, we're starting the conversation, and especially with athletes. So talk about your experiences.
Well, you know, the thing is with depression, you know, with these macho athletes, everyone thinks these guys are, you know, like myself, are huge, big, and you know, they could take on the world, but you know, we go through regular things just like everyone else. And I went through a troubled time after my years in the NFL. It was a time of trying to find myself. Trying to find out who I was after the game. You know, after you take the helmet and the shoulder pads off, who are you? You know, and that was the thing that I was going through the most. And then I went through a period of, you know, not seeing my kid at the time. So that sent me into a downward spiral and led me to the railroad tracks. And some homeless people saved me from the railroad tracks. And believe it or not, it was homeless people that I gave clothes to before at the New Orleans Mission. So you can see, once again, how, you know, your blessings come full circle. And that led me to, you know, going to my friend's house, walking. They walked me back to my friend's house. And I'm on this couch crying my eyes out, telling him I got to see somebody and talk to somebody. And the Chloe and Lamar show comes on. No, this is no lie. The Chloe and Lamar show comes on, and Lamar's friend Jamie was depressed. He was sitting in the house. He wasn't shaving. It was dark. He had a business to attend to, which was Lamar's business, and he didn't even care. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at him like, this is me. And I seen a segment came on where he went and got himself some help. He went to this place to get all these scans, these tests, and he came back doing all these exercises. He was a different person. And I said, that's where I need to go. And I called the place up, and I was there less than a week. And I was supposed to be there for 30 days. But I end up staying for 7.5 months.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, it's nice though that the conversation is opening. And I think you are part of the reason that those things are happening. So, you know, especially for athletes, because they look at different ex-NFL players that are in similar situations that are speaking up now. Do you think that that was something that you had to get comfortable with, is speaking up and saying, hey, I really need help, and you may need help too? Oh yeah, that was something that I really fought with, and that was one of my main reasons probably for going into depression, because I was suppressing a lot and wasn't talking about it and didn't feel like I had anyone to talk to, but in actuality I had everyone to talk to. But it was just being that macho athlete and, you know, not having, you know, the door open for discussions. And, you know, shortly after my time at the Crosby Center,
I created a curriculum for other athletes with neurocognitive issues. So 3 years later, I went back and opened up the Crosby Sports Treatment Center in San Diego, California. And now we treat athletes with neurocognitive issues. We help guys get their benefits. We help them get their life back on track. So it's a total rehabilitation program where guys can come and, have a safe haven, and it's like a locker room. And they're in the mountains in San Diego, California, so what's not to like about it?
Yeah, a lot of things. And that's not the only thing that you started and kind of put your name on. Yeah. You also have BooBeary. So talk a little bit about that company and what that company is about.
That's my baby.
Yeah, that is your baby.
That's my baby. Well, I started BooBeary several years, probably like 2015. I went through a bad breakup, and I think that was something that I needed to do to further myself and further, my career and what I was capable of doing. And I started BooBeary from inside of my car in San Diego, California. And I came up with, BooBeary Cares because it was a symbol of, it was a big teddy bear, and everyone called me this big teddy bear, but I wanted to do something different and spell it with a K because, I really do care about people and care about the community because that's where I'm from. So I started a nonprofit organization where we travel the country and we do a lot of caregiving. So we stop at children's hospitals, we stop at homeless shelters, we take water to Flint, Michigan. Walmart is one of my biggest sponsors. Gotta send a shout out to Walmart, thank you a lot. But we do a lot, and now we're here in San Diego. I know San Diego, I wish it was, but we're here in Panama City now. We're helping out from the hurricane disaster that was in 2018 with Hurricane Michael. So we've been bringing in, donations and, supplies, and now we're helping a good friend of mine, Shelly Summers, out in Youngstown with helping put together hemp homes for people that were displaced. So we're trying to do a lot to help people, but, just trying to show that the medical cannabis community is a community that is loving, caring, and sharing, and just loves to, bring people together. Yeah,
and that was one of the things I wanted to ask about was your help after Hurricane Michael. You were one of the first people saw. You were handing out food, you were helping people. Yeah. Talk about what it was like to go through that, especially because this place is part of your home. I mean, you grew up in Tallahassee, but now you live here, so what was it like to go through that?
Well, it was tough, and it was, I went through it with my lovely fiance, Sarah Galloway. By the way, she plays roller derby here.
Yes, you can go watch that story on mypanhandle.com.
You see, yeah. But we just took on, the duties of, helping, because I already had a nonprofit organization, and when a storm happened, it was just like, hey, something needs to be done. It needs to be done now. And we first started off with the Cajun Navy. The Cajun Navy came in town, and me and my fiance, we went out and searched for people and freed people from their homes. The first 3 days, and then BooBeary kicked in and started bringing in supplies and started reaching out to some people on some big platforms to get us some help, and it's just been going on ever since. And I can really say that we've been receiving a lot of love, a lot of help and support, and we're just going to keep it going.
That's awesome. So, okay, well, let's go into another topic now. You're a big advocate for medical marijuana, medical cannabis. Why do you think, I've read so many articles about it helping you get out of that dark time, and how it's not something to be afraid of, it's something that we should embrace, that we should use as a legitimate medical treatment for people. Talk about that a little bit, and why you're such a huge advocate for it.
Well, playing professional ball, you go through so many nicks, bumps, and aches. And it's like you got a game on Sunday, but you got to get right back up on Monday and start it all over again. And we go through those things, and it's things that your body is going to take long after the game is over. So I made it a point to go into medical cannabis because it was something that I used while I was playing, and it's a neuroprotectant for the brain. And it's it helps the pain. It helps a lot for anxiety. And we have so many guys that have anxiety. And I played with a guy by the name of Ricky Williams, and he's a great friend of mine. And I was one of the only players on the team that he connected with because we connected through cannabis. And, you know, everyone would ask, you know, how are you and Ricky so close? But they didn't know it was cannabis that brought us close together because he had social anxiety. He didn't like being around people, and that is what helped him. And I started doing more research on it when, you know, I was around him more. And it just was something that I've always done, you know, when I played. But it was, you know, not until after I got out of the game is when, I started going through some things and I wasn't able to, it wasn't accessible to me as much. And that's when I seen that I was going through depression, I was going through all these mental things, and I just knew that cannabis was the way, you know, for me to get myself out of the hole and to help. And now that I've started BooBeary, you know, we're helping people all over the country now.
That's awesome. And this is kind of a weird thing to see because the NFL is a league that is so against marijuana, right? I mean, you see it all the time. Oh, he's, you know, it's come up on his tests and no marijuana, no marijuana, no marijuana. Mm-hmm. Is it weird that so many ex-NFL players are advocates for it? Does that kind of, is that weird that you guys played in the NFL, but they're so against it, and now you guys are really for it? Is that?
Well, I'll tell you this, 75 to 80% of athletes in the NFL use marijuana. The pills that they shove at you daily are something that we're trying to get away from. Because everyone has seen that athlete that gets hurt on the field, he limps off, goes on the cart, and then he comes back 10 minutes later, he's running back on the field. How does that happen? How do we get to the point to where now medical cannabis is, you know, harmful for you, but you can go stick a guy with a needle to cover up that pain for the rest of those couple of hours, and now when he's finished, he's hurt himself even worse. So, you know, that's, you know, what a lot of guys that are out of the league now are such big advocates for medical cannabis is because of that reason. Because of those pills, those Vicodin, those, you know, those Toradol shots, those affect you later on in life. And I can honestly say is, you know, half of the guys that I played with, they're now using medical cannabis if they wasn't already.
That's awesome. And do you think the league is getting closer to accepting, okay, yes, our players are going to use marijuana, but it's not so bad. It's actually helpful. It's actually a good way to treat some of those injuries that you talk about.
It is. And, you know, and like I tell people, you know, the difference when it comes to medical cannabis is, you know, your Vicodin, your Seroquel, your Toradol, that's your THC. Your Advil, your aspirin, your Bayer, that's your CBD. And that's the difference. But guess what? The cannabis side is more healthier than the factory-made drugs that they're prescribing for you. And you know, so many athletes are pushing for cannabis. That's why the league now is taking a better look at cannabis, because, you know, it's a thing to put on the screen. Guy is suspended for you know what, I forgot how they classify it, but when you look at it, you say, you know what, that's cannabis. But they make it seem like it's another hard drug, but it's cannabis. And when you find out, like, what, it's cannabis? But he can take Vicodin, he can take all these other, you know, that's definitely wrong. I went through a bad surgery myself. I tore my Achilles, and they gave me 2 refills of 100 morphine pills. Now, if I was a person of that loved pills, that could have destroyed my life. But I was always a cannabis person, and so that's why I use cannabis and never use the pills.
Wow, that's so, it's crazy to hear that, because you, even in the NCAA, right? I mean, even let's go down to the college level. You see guys that are like, hey, I probably could use marijuana for this. And they're like, no, don't even say that. Don't even go through that. I mean, the amount of drug testing that they do on these guys to make sure that they don't have THC in their system, and other things as well. But you know, it's you just hear about it so much, marijuana. And to hear someone like of your background saying, look, I'm doing this, I'm helping the community, I'm active, it's just refreshing to hear, especially because there's 2 sides of every story, right?
And when you look at cannabis companies, you know, cannabis companies are all about helping. They're all about loving and sharing. Name me one Vicodin company that's out there in the community that's helping people. You can't tell me that. And that's why. It's because they're only there for profit, and they're only there to give you just enough to have you keep coming back. And see, cannabis, you know, it's helping people, it's saving lives. That's why my motto is, you know, saving lives and changing minds.
There you go. I love that. And let's talk a little bit about what the help you're doing, especially in the community here. You were talking to me a little bit before the interview about a tour that you're going on.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, well, my tour starts in November 1st, the BooBeary Cares Healthy Kids Tour. We'll be traveling to 9 cities. We'll be stopping at children's hospitals and teen centers around the country. If you want to, you know, find out more about the tour, you just Google BooBeary Cares. That's BOOBEARY Cares with a K, and you'll definitely see the tour. So what we're doing is we're just trying to bring a little light to all these different communities. We're also traveling into Ferguson, St. Louis. We're opening up the teen center there where I'll be speaking and, you know, have some giveaways. And what we're going to do too is we're going to give away $1,000 to each city to their local charity.
Oh, that's so awesome. Is that a charity that you guys pick or that they will pick?
Yeah, that the city will pick. So that's what we're trying to do, is just trying to bring more people together. We're going to have firemen, we're going to have policemen, we're also going to have some athletes that, you know, played in the NFL and athletes that also play in the NFL. We're taking this tour to 9 cities in the fall, and in the spring we got another 9 cities that we're doing too as well. So we're just going to keep it up and just try to do our part and use our platform to keep helping more communities.
Yeah, and what are you doing here specifically? I know you talked a little bit about some Hurricane Michael relief that you're still doing a year later.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about some of the things you're doing locally here.
Well, what we're doing is we're helping Shelly Summers out in Youngstown, just getting some things together, some permits, and just gearing everything up to start building these hemp homes. Hemp grows strong over time, and you know that's a part of the medical cannabis plant. And it's the hemp plant. So, you know, hemp grows strong over time. It cuts the building cost in half. And if the house, say for instance, it gets over 100 degrees outside, the house never gets over 74 degrees. So it's good for insulation, and we're helping the environment. So we're just trying to bring, you know, our cannabis world and show people the many different facets of this plant and how it can help people.
And when will those be completed in Youngstown? Do you have a set date on those, or how many you want to complete?
Well, right now we're going to be building about 3 units on her property. We're just getting some permits and things together, but we are due to start building sometime here soon, and it shouldn't take them no more than about 4 or 5 months to be finished.
Wow, that's going to be so awesome. And will that help, is that going to help the rest of the community here, or is that just going to help that property, that area for her?
Well, what she wants to call it is called Logan's Retreat, and it's in the name of her son that passed away. And what we're going to do is it's a sanctuary for people to come and, you know, get on their feet if they're, you know, displaced, and it's a place where they can get on their feet and then they can leave. And now it's room for another family to come in. I got every home, every unit is going to come with Florida Blue health care for families that, you know, don't have health care. So we're going to try to do some things to make it to where, you know, people can, you know, use it as a hand up and not a hand out.
That's awesome. And talking about that, I mean, there's a lot of displaced families and people still. I mean, a year, we're coming up on the year anniversary.
Yes.
A year later, people are still looking for housing.
Yes.
Why do you think it's so important that you started this and are doing this initiative, especially now?
Well, hoping that, you know, we have more people come in the city and we partner together to help build more communities. I know it's a huge, housing development on Martin Luther King that has just totally been just, you know, forgot about. And I'm just hoping that, you know, we have some people come in town, we can partner together and open these, you know, housing developments back up, because there's so many people displaced from there, and now the rent has went up, you know, 3, 4, 5 times, and, you know, it's hard for people to even get into homes. So we're just hoping that we can, you know, bring affordable housing to Panama City and just keep it going down the panhandle. because when these hurricanes come, you need sustainable housing, and the hemp homes are really sustainable housing, so it's not like the big bad wolf, huff, huff, and puff, and blow your house down.
That's awesome. I love that analogy. Well, we're kind of wrapping things up now, but I want to ask you something. Since you live here in Panama City Beach, do you have a favorite spot to go to, maybe favorite restaurant, favorite activity? What do you like to do here?
Well, my favorite beach bar to go to is Alibi.
Oh, really?
It's on the beach. Yeah, it used to be the old quarter deck, and now it's reopened by Alibi, and my beautiful fiance is the general manager there.
Oh,
so
there you go.
Yeah. So they have great food. It's right off the beach, and they have great music. So you can't get a better spot, and it's right across from Chubby's.
Oh yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been there before.
Yeah, so that's my favorite spot. Great food. So anybody out there, you need a great spot to go eat, please go check out Alibi.
Alibi. All right. Well, people are writing it down, and they're like, "Can I see Boo Williams?"
Yeah.
will he frequent there? No, that's awesome. Yeah. Do you have something you like to do on the weekends, like activity here that's Panama City Beach?
Well, me and my fiance, we like to go to Destin. We just came from Destin, so we like to get away. And sometimes I tell her, I'm like, listen, this looks like Panama City still. But she's like, no, it's Destin.
No, it's totally different.
It's totally different. So that's one thing that, we just like to get away and, take our little trips here and there and watch her play roller derby.
Right, that's awesome. And final question, are you keeping up with the NFL? Are the Saints your team that you cheer for?
Who dat?
Okay, well then that makes sense.
Yes, it is. We go back quite frequently. Matter of fact, me and Sarah, we went back to the NFC Championship game against the Rams. We're alumni, so when we go, we sit in the box and watch it from the box view, and we go on the field, and that's great to take her on the field and see those type things. But Saints are still my team. We're ranked number 3 team in the NFL right now, so hopefully we can sustain that until Drew Brees gets back.
Oh yeah, I hope so too, because I'm kind of there's a lot of Saints fans in this area, so you have to cross your fingers.
But they can't sleep on Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater, what I tell people is, as a backup quarterback, he never takes first team reps. He's always throwing to the scout team. He's running the other team's plays. So when he gets thrown into the shuffle mid-game, he hasn't went through the game plan. He doesn't really know the game plan like Drew Brees does, because Drew Brees takes all the first team reps.
Right.
So that's why now you'll see progressively going through game 2 and 3, he'll get more comfortable with the offense because they'll be putting in more plays that's suitable for him and not Drew Brees.
All right, Saints fans, you heard it here first. I love it.
I'll give you a little football inside one-on-one.
Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. A perfect ending of this interview. Well, thank you so much, Boo. We really appreciate it. Go check out all of, on the website. You plugged it before, but you can check out all that information here, and it'll be in our article below. So you can check it all out.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.